Just over 2 years ago, I actually went to Japan. I drove an older Nissan first generation Skyline. And, I think before that I was kind of unsure. I didn't know how old cars, how an old car drove. Was it really not a great driving experience? But after driving that, that was sort of a convincing moment. Drove that, loved it. And I think from that point, it's, I was like, okay, I need to have something old. And I really started looking further into the 240Zs. So I had been searching seriously for a little over a year, and I think with this type of car you can't go on AutoTrader to get it, but I found a car, the guy had restored it, done a few kind of modern upgrades to it, but other than that, looked fairly stock, so decided to go down, check it out, left a deposit, went down about a week later and drove the car back up. First car that I owned was a '89 RX-7. I bought it pretty much broken, so that was the first car that learned a little bit about how to fix things on cars. So after that, I drove that only in the summer. I was kind of looking for a car that I could drive year round. End up with a Subaru WRX. So had that for a few years, few upgrades, but more or less just having it as a car I could drive all year round. So picked up the Datsun a few years after owning the Subaru. I think it's just something about not having, anything in the driving experience other than, how you steer the car, how you slow down, how you accelerate. There's not a lot of things in the car. It's very simple, and that sort of experience, was appealing. Anywhere between 140 and I think 170 horsepower. But the motor I have in this is from a newer Nissan. I mean, with this car, my goals aren't really huge horsepower. It's not exactly like driving an old car. It has lots of elements of driving a classic car, but the suspension's been changed, the drivetrain's a little bit upgraded, so you get a lot of stuff you get from an old car, like the steering is manual. You hear everything, every bump in the road kind of changes the direction of the car. You keep engaged in the driving experience. You're paying attention to what the car is doing, and you're not just along for the ride. You kind of feel connected to that. I think my philosophy is just, I don't like changing a lot of things with no purpose or changing a lot of things at once. So, especially with Japanese car culture, I think it's, if something breaks, you replace it or you fix it. If something's not quite right, you fix it. And I think that kind of like constant, gradual improvement is kind of the philosophy I want to take with the car, rather than trying to, change everything at once or completely change the nature of the car. That's sort of how I see the car and it as a long-term project.